Hi, good afternoon and good evening for everybody. And thank you people who are in this video room right now and who involved in our dialogue. And I'm Svitlana Salamatova. From Ukraine, and now I am in Kyiv in my apartment. And we use Google+Hangouts tool for connection people around the world. And we focus on today our dialogue about leadership and management. We started our initiative almost 2 years ago, and each week we try to talk about something together, and for better understanding each other, for better feeling each other. When I say each other, it means that now in this room I see people from England, from US, from Ukraine, from Africa. And I think that thankful media I see and Sergiy Sukhoboychenko, we have opportunity to talk about different topics and understand each other better. And thank you. And let's talk about leadership. Last dialogue was about leader and leadership. And really at the end of dialogue, we open that leader is a little bit different than leadership. And why we talk about leader and leadership and management? Because I know I learn new subject. Then every union and USA have a small misunderstanding in this manner. And I know that every union people love to use management and don't love leadership. And I don't understand difference in these two definition. And let's talk about this today. And before we start to discuss this topic, I want to ask each of you make short introduction and say who are you, where are you from, and what is your main occupation. And as I say, I am Svitlana Salamatova. I am from Ukraine. I am director of NGO. Now we have women NGO, and we try to create first in Ukraine women business holding, and we try to improve women and women leadership in Ukraine. And thank you to being here. And I want to ask Ron, you make short presentation. Who are you?
Who am I? Yeah, okay. My name is Ron. I live here in Scotland, not England. Just to point out, I don't know if there are any English people in there, but I'm from Scotland, different country. I am a member of the local community council. I am the chairman of the local tenants and residents association. And I also have my own little radio station here, so you can probably see in the background here. I have a radio station here. So there you go, in my living room. So that's me.
Oh, okay. Great, great, Ron. Nice to see you here. And Deborah.
Hi, my name is Deborah Fairlam. I am an American living in Kyiv. I have been here for about a year this time, but this is actually the second time I've been here. And my background is in banking and investments and business development. And right now I am focusing on business development and different things about social development. I do some training here. I find that Ukraine is a great place right now in terms of being open-minded and looking for different ways to grow. And so it's a great opportunity for me to feel like what I do makes a difference.
Great, Deborah. Thank you. And Deborah is my mentor in Ukraine. Thank you, Deborah. I love you very much. And thank you for supporting me.
Sure.
And Gerishan, is it possible to hear you? And unfortunately, Africa is far from Euro-Union continent, and Scotland also is far from Africa, unfortunately. and we usually have not good connection, but slow by slow maybe we will hear Gerishan. Gerishan is from Kenya, and he is part of he is very active young man, and he is part of United Nations Initiative for Youth in Africa. And Larissa, switch on your microphone and say a couple words about yourself. Larissa?
Hi, everybody. My name is Larissa. I'm from Ukraine, and I'm a member of NGO Nova Ukraina, and my main opportunity is to develop a society.
Larissa is specialist in development of local communities. And thank you, Larissa. And it is first trying Larissa to talk in English and to be involved in dialogue. And thank you, Larissa, for your heroism to be with us in English. And Sasha, is it possible to hear you?
Yep. Hello, my name is Alexander. I'm from Ukraine, but now I'm studying in Warsaw. I'm studying journalism, and I'm glad to be in here.
Mm-hmm. And Sasha, before you come to Warsaw, what was your main occupation?
Occupation? Maybe some another word, but I don't understand.
Occupation is English, because I use English word. It's occupation, it's job. And what? Occupation is mean what you did before you come to Warsaw.
Oh, I'm studying in school, and it's all.
Great. You are a young man. Yes, I see it. Irina? I see Irina.
Good evening. Hello, I am from Ukraine also, and now I am studying journalism in Warsaw. Also, I am a social activist. I try to do something for students, to cooperate with students, and also I'm a volunteer in Ukrainian and Poland integration group.
Thank you, Irina. And Gerishan, do you hear us? Gerishan, try to say something. Nothing. Okay, and question to you. And I have very good, well-speaking English person here, Ron and Deborah, and I hope it will be a very good, deep conversation between you, because I feel that you are very well known in this subject, because it seems like you are leaders, both of you. And I read in Ron Facebook page, what Ron phrase you use in your Facebook? I am not boss, or how to say? I am not boss. I am boss.
I am not the guy, but you see, what happened was, I'll try to explain this to you. I can't remember exactly what was written there, but it was, I don't act like a boss, I am the boss. You understand? Something like that, yeah?
And it seems like
this was only a joke, because I have no boss. You know, I'm on my own here.
Okay, how is possible to not to be boss if you have your private radio space or radio station? Who are you, Ron?
Yeah, well, the radio station is really a hobby. The radio station. I do broadcast to the world. You can probably see on Facebook. I do broadcast to everyone else, and I hope maybe some new people from Ukraine and from other places may listen in sometime. You know, but generally, I'm retired. I'm too old now to work. I'm too old for everything now. And what I do now is I put my time into the community. And as I said, I'm a community councillor. And as a community councillor, our job is to sit and we take community issues, and we take them to the local council, local authority, and we hope that they will handle them for us, for the community. Also, the chairman of the Tenants and Residents Association. This is an organisation which deals with one particular area of my town, and in this area, where people come to us with the issues, and we take those issues on to the bigger bosses. That's the way. That's the only way I can explain it.
Yeah, good. And do you know that our global dialogue main goal of our global dialogue to collect as much as possible positive experience about local community development. And
well, I see that I'm interested in your community, your culture, and things like that, because I feel under the circumstances, what is happening in Ukraine at the moment is all very mixed up. We only hear what we hear in the newspapers or on the newsreel on television, and we don't know what as Western Europeans, we don't know what it's really like to live in the Ukraine under these circumstances. I don't know how restricted you are, and as you know, for example, what you're doing now. Are you restricted in any way? And this is what I'm interested in as far as Ukraine is concerned.
Great. And the main problem in Ukraine is totally the same with the name of our topic, because today's topic, because it seems like we have. I heard from different radio station and mass media and people. Everybody says that we have very weak leadership in Ukraine and we have very weak management in Ukraine, of Ukraine. And what is, guys, for you? What is differences between leadership and management? It's open question for everybody.
Yeah, well, I think to be in management, you have to be, first of all, a leader. Yeah, you have to be able to lead the people. You have to be able to show some assertiveness, and then as things go on, then the manager he will then take these things into effect. You know what I mean? That you have to be a leader before you can be a manager. I think. But again, that's my opinion. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Good. And Deborah or Irina?
So I'll be glad. So from my perspective, there's sort of different sides of the same role. And what I mean by that is, for me, and the way I think a lot of people in the US might look at management, is that management is more about ensuring that processes are followed, that goals are reached, that people and organizations sort of hit check mark points along the way to reach a particular objective. So it's more about like moving a company or something like that from one point to another in terms of growth or reaching objectives. Leadership, for me, has more qualities above and beyond management. And so obviously a good leader not only has to be able to achieve the goals and to be a good manager, but then there's also sort of the skills on their side about how they can sort of create a vision of a future that people want to work towards, and how do you bring teams together, and what is it that motivates people and moves them forward. And then there's also an element of helping others on the team find what is good in them and helping them develop their skills. So it's not just a leader, you know, enhancing his or her own skills, but it's also about bringing others, developing others, creating a vision, and getting everybody kind of moving forward towards that. And management is a key aspect of that, without a doubt, because if you can't sort of move things along in an organized fashion and hit goals and sales or whatever you're being measured by, that's a piece of it, but they're just sort of different facets of a bigger whole. for me.
So you mean then that as a leader, not necessarily a leader of people, but a leader showing the way forward, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I understand. I quite agree with that because at the moment, I'm quite active here in the community with regards to. I don't know what you think about this mental health problem. There is this has been brought up by our government here. We've had mental health week and everything else, but the problem is now there's such a stigma attached to mental health issues here. And we did have a mental health resource center here in my town, and they closed it down because of lack of money. So I am now active with local authority politicians and also one politician from London. And I'm active now trying to get an alternative or trying to get another place where these people with mental health issues can go. So I reckon, in a way, I'm leading the way here. I'm trying to, although I don't want to be the leader, I want other people to come and do the work. I'll just do the, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, but I think part of being a leader is being able to have the resources to achieve the vision and to cultivate the team. And in terms of what you're doing, that's a very big issue in the United States as well, in terms of funding, and it does fall very much to a local or state or community level. And so I absolutely understand that things like that very often hinge on one person having the passion and the vision and the desire to help others, and that is absolutely a definition of leadership.
Well, I've been trying for 3 years, and it's only now that a local member of parliament is actually listening to me now, and we're taking this forward. We're hoping that it's not going to take too long, but no, I think I'm taking up a lot of your time here. I think it's best if you continue with someone else. Yeah.
That's good. Somebody wants to share opinion about leadership and management? Irena, Alexander, and we have new participators. I don't know what's your name. I can see свой format, but I don't know who are you.
Nickname на YouTube.
And do you speak English?
Little.
A little? Okay.
That's okay. That's okay. So do I. It's only a little. I speak English with a Scottish dialect.
But thank you anyway for good English lesson for everybody, and Deborah and Ron. Thank you very much. It's a good English lesson for everybody. And question to person who and do local community development. And what happened in Ukraine after a revolution? After the last revolution, because we have many. And what happened? Nobody in Ukraine wants to be led by somebody. And it seems like leadership for Ukraine, slow by slow, start to be very old phrase, because nobody wants to be led by somebody. And I think that more useful for Ukraine management, because we really need management skills, how to operate it, local communities. And now we have very strong process of decentralization and new administrative reform. And I think that leadership is not good definition for this process. What do you think?
Can I ask a question regarding that? Would it not be beneficial if Ukraine was part of the European Union?
It definitely would, and I think that Ukraine would very much like to be part of the European Union.
Even although the UK, or should I say England, has decided to here in Scotland we wanted to stay in the UK, in the EU rather, but unfortunately we are governed by London. Although we have our own parliament here in Scotland, we are governed on these issues by London, and we are now fighting to stay as a Scottish nation, to stay in the EU. So I was just wondering if it would benefit the Ukrainian people if they were to adopt adopt a European or take in the European Union.
So can I am not Ukrainian, but from an outside perspective, a lot of what happened with in 2014 with Euromaidan was there was an element of pushback against the government. Very largely, it was about taking a stand for the values that Ukraine wanted, and those were very much values that are aligned with essentially the European ideals, and it's individualism, freedom to choose, it's the ability to control one's own life. So it's all of these things that you would consider values that are aligned with Europe rather than sort of what would have been kind of aligned with the former Soviet space. And the way I think this is actually important, and even Svitlana with what you just said about a leader versus a manager, I think one of the things that's happening in Ukraine right now is that there is this desire to be part of a bigger community that is oriented on self-reliance rather than state reliance, and where people have the ability to choose on education and work, and they can make their own choices and follow their own destiny. But that there's not here, anyway, right now, always the underlying infrastructure. So the school system is not always as good as it could be or should be. There's still challenges within the government. And what Svitlana is talking about in terms of management and bringing process to business and to government, all of those things are happening right now. And I think there is a good awareness of the need for that. And that is part of the desire to be aligned with others out there, in this case the EU, where life is, follows more predictable patterns in terms of law, in terms of management, in terms of process, in terms of all of these different structures.
And what is my fear? What is my fear right now about management in Ukraine, for example? Because it's very difficult for me to say about other countries. But according to my role, global role, I am vice president of global organization, and for me, it's very difficult to connect people among the world and to put them to one page and try to see in one direction. And as a result of individualism or development of individualism, we lost, I think that we lost very, very important things like humanity and human development. And I think that management is not a very good tool to develop humanity and human development. and maybe I make mistake, I don't know, but Deborah, you're welcome.
Sorry, somebody else want to go in here.
And lady ahead. Deborah.
No, I was sorry, Deborah. Sorry, Deborah. I'm talking over you here.
No, Ron, please, Ron, go ahead. I can talk anytime.
What I'm thinking about is the Ukraine. The Ukraine is a relatively new regime under the circumstances. Let's face it, there was, 70 years of communism, and it's very, very difficult to shake this off, I feel. And I think it's going to take a long time for the Ukrainian people to sort of develop themselves. Now, I was recently in Poland and in June, and I had a look around Poland, and I spoke to the people of Poland and everything else. And they are happy to be in the European Union, or well, some of them are. But at the same time, they were looking very carefully at what the UK is going to do after Brexit, if you know what I mean. So I think from the Ukrainian people's point of view, it's going to take time to develop. I mean, things will not happen overnight. It's just unfortunately that at the moment in the eastern part of your country, there is some unrest. I hope that, I mean, I suppose if you were part of the European Union, this perhaps wouldn't happen, because you'll have all those other European countries around you, if you know what I mean. So I really don't know. I think it's just it takes time to develop, and I think from the Ukrainian point of view, it's going to take a few years before you ever actually are really on a, how would you say, a self-sufficient basis. Would I say that's about the only way I can put it? I don't know if anyone agrees with that.
I don't know if I can be heard.
Yes, you can do.
Okay. So for me, there's something I wanted to actually point out on leadership and management. And I think even looking at management, leadership, we have two sides of leadership: good leadership and bad leadership. Then we look, if you are a bad manager, then you definitely become a bad. You show a good, bad leadership traits and skills. So I believe, like, as far as leadership and management are isolated, because you can study management in something on how to manage things, but leadership is something that comes natural and you learn it through your day-to-day life. So I can say that the decisions that are made by leaders are based on the skills on management that they have, and that really matters. And I really think, like, for a country also to run, you have to have a good leader who knows how to manage resources perfectly so that it doesn't affect anybody. So for me, as far as they're isolated, they still go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, carry on.
Yeah, I agree. And when Ron said developing themselves, and question is touching of this your phrase, what does it mean? Development of leadership or development of management skills, and what does it mean for you?
For me,
Ron, Deborah, and Irina.
All right.
Who wants?
I would like to hear from. I mean, you have one or two other Ukrainians there. I would like to hear what their point of view is. I mean, it's all very well for me doing all the talking and things like, but you have Ukrainian nationals there who obviously would have an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Irina, do you want to share with us? What does it mean development for you?
Everybody's going shy.
I think they're young journalists, and journalists never shy.
Oh no, they just report. They just report, and sometimes what they report is not exactly 100% true. You know.
Yes, and when I have a chance to ask something from journalists, I try to use this chance, because journalist's job usually asks somebody else, but nobody asks them.
No, well, this is
That's why I ask Irina and Alexander right now. And what do you think? What does it mean development to you?
For me, developing is a transition from one point to another. So if you are in this point, like, you are transiting, like, there's an in this level and have moved to this level currently. And I think for development also, if you're looking for infrastructure development, then that one will have evidence to it. But if you're looking for personal development, it's really hard to pinpoint things unless you have evidence. So, and even in leadership, I think now when you think I've developed as a leader, it depends on, like, things you are looking into personal skills. Like, I was shy, I couldn't talk in front of people.
Thank you, Gerishan, and thank you to hearing you. It's great.
Can I butt in here? I think it doesn't matter who is in power, who is leader, who is in management, and everything else. You're not going to please everyone. There are always going to be the pro and the anti. Always. It doesn't matter who. So, I mean, you can be a good leader to some, but to others, from their point of view, you're not such a good leader. We have this problem here right now in the UK. I don't know if you've been monitoring it here at all, but we have this problem here in the UK about who is a good leader and who is not a good leader in our government. And our political system at the moment is in turmoil. We don't know who's who anymore. So yeah, but as I said, to be a leader or a manager, you cannot please everyone.
And what I hear from you right now, Ron, that you said very important things for me personally. That nobody knows who is leader in UK, or nobody knows who is leader in Scotland, and nobody knows who is leader in Ukraine also. It means that we are globally on the one page, and we have the same process right now, like if we looking through the process of globalization. And I think that it's a question for everybody, for us. And that's why I choose this topic, leadership and management, because nobody knows right now what does it mean leadership and what does it mean management. and nobody understands who we are, because I feel that everybody are right now under the development, and what kind of tools we use for development right now, what kind of tools, what is maybe some things internally us still to live without changing.
Well, the tools you have at the present time now are, and you're using them. You're using them at this moment. One of them is freedom of speech. Before, you were not allowed to do this. You were very restricted. Now you have freedom of speech, and you can give your opinion to me and to everyone else who is listening, which is a good thing. So that is one of the tools you can use to your advantage. Then, of course, we're on the internet right now. The internet is, of course, the international platform for everything now. And that, again, is a big tool in your favor. You see?
Mm-hmm. Agree.
So,
Irina?
everybody else? Anyone else? No?
Yes, now I would like to say a little bit. I think that now it is so much possibilities to develop ourselves that people only should know what they should use, and how they can learn something new, and they should filter this information, all information what they get. People should decide what they need, how they wanted to develop their selves, and just take and did it. So
Yeah, how you want to develop then is up to yourselves. How you want to develop. I mean, we have the advantage here where we can protest and everything without any problems, if you know what I mean. Over in your country, I reckon it's very difficult to protest against anything. Is this true?
No.
No.
There's actually very good freedom of speech here right now. I mean, it's not that there's always people listening, but you can certainly go out and protest. And I mean, that's actually what has, to some degree, changed the course of Ukraine's history a couple times.
Yeah. See, sometimes I feel protesting is maybe the only way to get your voice heard. If enough people are shouting, then the leaders or the management, depending on you, they're going to have to listen.
Right. Well, that's essentially what happened in 2014. And you're absolutely right about the importance of free press, though, because what that does is it creates alternative sources of information, because I do think one of the dangers, and not just here, but in the United States and even in the UK, it's an issue, and I think this is part of what even happened with Brexit, or when with this vote, was when there is a single source or a single storyline that is perpetuated and told over and over and over again, and all the big news sources jump onto it, all of a sudden people start hearing and thinking that that is actually the way the world is, well, when in fact it's a world full of possibilities, but it is free press, and even small radio stations exactly like yours that can make a difference in terms of providing different viewpoints.
But you in the United States at the present time, things are not very secure for you guys either at the moment, because you're coming up to another election now, and well, uh, I'll tell you what, we have to laugh about the election in the U.S. at the present time. Obviously, you have Donald Trump on one side, who unfortunately his mother is Scottish, so, and then you have on the other side. Sorry? So
Oh,
I
Scottish
don't
must
know.
be proud of this kind of relationship with Trump.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I kind of doubt that.
Well, you see, my point of view, talking about leadership and everything else, Donald Trump, as far as I'm concerned, he is not and never will be a politician. Never was, never will be. He is purely a businessman, and he talks. I think the wrong end of his body is on his shoulders because he talks. You know what I mean. Anyway, so he gets himself into a lot of trouble. And can you, as a leader, would you in the Ukraine, would you accept that this type of speech? Because I'll tell you why. I listened to some of Donald Trump's speeches, and they have echoes of 1930s Germany.
Absolutely.
You agree, yeah?
I 100% agree. I think it's very frightening on one level, but at the same time, it is also, and exactly what happened in the UK, you know, England and Scotland and everything, it is what a democracy is. It is when you put something to a vote that people make a choice, and you know, you sometimes end up with just crazy scenarios, but that is how democracy works. And that is also, again, to loop back to why it is so important to have different sources of information and different viewpoints of the world, and to understand that there are bigger pictures. I agree. I mean, I think Donald Trump is the scariest thing to come along. And
I think the world is going. Yeah, the world is going to be a much dangerous place, a much more dangerous place if he gets into power. I'll tell you, I fear really for the future if Donald Trump gets in.
I
I really do.
agree.
And maybe Donald Trump doesn't know what does it mean leadership and management. I think
This is exactly it. He knows
So that's
management from sorry. He knows management from a business point of view. But as regards leadership, he has no idea.
I agree.
Trump is very good example of how we can find differences between leadership and management. And thank you, Ron, to point it of this person, because it's very good example how I think we can see differences on him. What does it mean management and leadership?
Yeah, well, there you go. We've hit it on the head today. You know, we now know the difference. Using Donald Trump as an example, we now know the difference. We now know the difference between leadership and management.
Okay, so but here's a fun paradigm: is there is an element of leadership that Donald Trump shows, because he has garnered. I don't know what the number is going to be when you divide between Republicans and Democrats, but a very large chunk of the American public are following him. And they're following him despite the fact that he's used nonsense, and despite the fact he has no plans and all of this. He still is a leader for many people. So what is that? What does that say?
Look at the people who are following him, though. The people who are, look at the people who are, the people who are following him are fanatics. They're fanatics. They're gunslingers. You know, America is still living in the 1880s when Wyatt Earp was a marshal. You know, they still live in that era. And the people who are following Donald Trump at the moment are these people who want to retain their weapons and everything else, and they want to. They're radicals, if you know what I mean. They want immigrants out of the place. They want to build imagine, how stupid can you be? They want to build a wall.
Okay, but Ron,
America.
yes, okay, Ron, but Ukraine had this type of leader only a couple years ago. We have Yanukovych. It's totally the same with Donald Trump, and and Ukraine is very good example of what happened with this person.
You've got a point there. This is true, but then again, you have the opportunity now. You have the opportunity now to capitalize on your freedom, capitalize on the freedom of speech you have now. Unfortunately, you've got a leader or should I say, is a leader or manager who is to the north and to the east of you, who is actually causing you a few problems. But I think it's a case of really. I feel people power could go a long way here.
Yes.
I really don't know. You see, I cannot. There are people who are defying the intruder, as you might say, in the east of your country. There are people still living in these places, and they're saying they're being defiant. They're saying, "No, we are not going to move, whether you like it or not." And you're trying to retain your country in this case. I mean, we are lucky as we are here an island. People would have to. Although I'm not going to say anything in case someone is listening to me, they shouldn't be.
Karen, but let's give opportunity Gerishan to say something. I hear that he tried to say something. Gerishan, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I like the point that you've brought the issue of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and all that. I also want to use just Trump as a type of leadership. You see, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I think what matters is not the fact he's not a leader. He is a leader, but he's just a leader of other people who thinks like him. So he says, I don't agree with him too. But he's just leading those who agree with him. And if you look at the example of Africa, we'll take Zimbabwe, of Mugabe as the president of Zimbabwe, and he keeps on being there, and people still support him, and they agree with him, despite every other person from other part of the country knows that, oh, Mugabe is not good. So at times, I think if you've been in those people's shoes, then you'll know why are they following this leader. If you look at the Muammar Gaddafi from Egypt who was killed, and then the economy of Egypt just went, not Egypt, Liberia, just went down after he went, the free education, the free health. So people from outside were shown how bad Gaddafi was and how he had made Liberia economy bad, and he was really treating people bad. But when he passed, when he was killed and everything went, and you can see now the economy of the economy has just gone down. So I also say, like, I think, like, in leadership there's still good leaders and bad leaders, and then there are people who look, what am I looking at this leader to say that this is the one who I'm following and this is not the one I'm following, especially when it comes to politics.
Thank you, Gerishan. And I have a question about time is moving on very fast, and I want to ask a very important question about leadership and management also. Surprise, the same question about the same topic. But question is, what if we look through the perspective of countries in the world? What country we can name by leadership country, and what a country we can call management country?
Okay, the first one that comes to mind immediately is as regarding leadership management. A leader, of course, a god in his own country, is in North Korea.
North Korea. Okay. North Korea's leader is North Korea.
He is a dictator. He's a leader. He is the one and only leader there. There is no management. There is no management. He is the one and only, and he makes all the decisions and things like this. The other people just have to do what he says, and that's it. And this is why in North Korea there's a very little news comes from North Korea, because they're so restricted, because this one man is telling them, you don't tell anybody anything.
Yes, and all of you thinking it means that Russia is also.
Russia, on the other hand, is opening up a little bit now compared to what it did. I mean, I was in Germany when in 1989. I lived in Germany for 25 years, and I was in Germany in 1989 when the wall came down, the Iron Curtain, as they called it, when that came down. And that, I think, opened things up a little bit from the Russian point of view. It gave some of the Russians a certain amount of freedom, which they never had before. And Russians now can move quite freely throughout Europe, and like you know what I mean. Whereas in North Korea, you have to defect. You understand?
I think. I think. Yes.
Well, I'll put it this way: you can get out of Russia, but you can't get out of North Korea so easily.
That's a good point, and it talks about kind of the extreme of leader when you take it all the way to one end of the spectrum. And I think it goes back to the point that there are good leaders and there are bad leaders. When you ask that question, the first person who popped into my head is a somewhat positive leader in this world right now is Angela Merkel, in terms of having set a vision for Germany in terms of economics, of politics, of how they were directing things socially. And she has essentially guided Germany through some extraordinarily turbulent economic times and political times around it. And she has really kind of held things together predominantly through leadership skills, although Germans are also really good at management skills. But hers has been very much leadership driven in terms of having a vision and where does she see everybody going forward.
Yeah, you need to remember too that Angela Merkel is an East German. She was under the communist regime until 1989. So obviously she will have some, maybe her leadership skills came from the communist era rather, I don't know. But at the moment in Germany, she's not exactly 100% in favor. She's not the flavor of the month there at the moment due to the Syrian crisis, you know. So yeah, there's yep. Okay, she is a leader, but what I feel, yeah, the leader looks on his managers to do the work. If you understand what I'm getting at here, for example, under the communists, you had your leader and all your other Politburo, what's that what they called them, the Politburo? The Politburo members, they were then the management, and then that went down the scale right down to the normal person. So I think maybe the leader is a guy in charge rather than the manager.
And Girishan, do you call two countries in Africa? Which country is leadership and which country is management?
Okay, I'm as an example of leadership, because I've seen Namibia even trying to offer like other countries like Zimbabwe, President Mugabe to go to Namibia and just retire from the seat and they will give him everything he wants in Namibia. So for me, I think they are those people who try to unite Africa. So as a leader, like bringing that unity once together, so you trying to get people in one position, but by just not taking the lead and standing up there, but by performing action and uniting people. And in terms of Rwanda, because Rwanda has suffered a lot of genocide, and I think the current president is more of there's no right to just talk about the Hutu and Tutsi to bring all those peace. If he says like let's go to the street and clean and everybody will come out. So I think he's trying to use the method of management to manage the situation that the Rwanda has been before, and not to go there, but not necessarily as a leadership where bringing the natural heal within the country.
Good, thank you. And Ron, what about you? Two countries in Europe?
Two countries in Europe regarding leadership and management. Well, I think here in the UK at the present time we are under how would you say, a temporary management. A temporary management, because until the next election and everything is fixed out politically, then I reckon we are just under a temporary management at the moment. We have a figurehead, a leader, as in Theresa May, who has taken over the Prime Minister's job. But again, this is only a temporary thing. So I reckon two countries, the UK is one of them as regards leaders, and the North Korea. That is the one that really has the ultimate leader. I can only say management. I suppose if you want to talk about management, you're going back to communism again, where everyone was the same. Everyone had the same status, if you know what I mean. You had this one leader, and then you had your managers underneath the leader. That's the only way I can explain it.
Good, thank you, Ron. And Deborah, two countries from you, if you have. idea.
Well, I mean, I sort of agree in that you can look at the extreme between one company or the example of North Korea as a leadership dictator, and like I said, Angela Merkel as a good leader, but also a good manager. I'll tell you another country that you can look at is Israel. Believe it or not, actually has done fairly good job at combining leadership and management within the country. The way their country is set up, they have the Knesset and they've got all of these different parties that have to kind of come together and form coalitions. And there are very much different viewpoints there, but at the same time, they have found ways within the leadership to bring enough people together where they are able to continue to move the country forward. And in the meantime, the infrastructure of the country keeps getting better. The schools are great. They're essentially running that whole country right now on water that's been desalinated. So the management there is also very good. So that's a country I would look at for that as well.
And thank you, Deborah, very much. And the last question to everybody, because we have only 3 minutes to the end, and I have a question to each of you. And what kind of thoughts you are leaving this dialogue?
So this has been very interesting because I think it forces you to look at the ideas and reevaluate your own ideas. It's interesting to me that we have defaulted to the conversation around leadership and management within the context of countries and not companies, but in some cases there are companies that have bigger revenue lines than countries do, and so I think that you do also need to take into consideration that companies have good leaders or bad leaders in management. That's something else to consider. But just most of all, this has been very eye-opening, and so thank you all.
Thank you, Deborah.
Sorry, I'm just interested. I joined this because I'm interested in the cultural differences between the Ukraine and the UK. I'm interested in that from both, from other perspectives. Like I said before, regarding freedom of speech and everything else, there are things you can do now that you couldn't do before. So I was interested in that from that point of view. But again, it's been quite an interesting discussion, I feel, although I did most of the talking, unfortunately. The next time, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to listen. I'm going to say nothing.
No, thank you, Ron. And Irena.
Well, listen, before we go any further, remember my radio station. You'll find it on Facebook. A radio station that I will be broadcasting tomorrow at 2200 Ukrainian time, if anyone is interested, or that'll be 8 o'clock UK time, if anyone is interested. Yep.
Great, and we will post your radio station on our Facebook page.
I put it on my timeline.
And we have Online Dialog Facebook page, and we have our NGO Angels of Country Facebook page, and personally my Facebook has more than 300 people in I collect in my Facebook.
You have more than I have then.
And it is not. I'm not going to stop, Ron. And certainly we are spreading your radio station like logo and link. And Sergiy Media, I see, have very wide audience also, and we can help you to spreading your radio station link.
I have just had an idea.
You're welcome.
Still there, yeah? Yeah. I just had an idea. You can send to me a podcast in your own language, and I will rebroadcast that to the Ukraine or to the world, and anyone can listen.
Thank you very much, and we can do it. Yes, and we have this experience in Ukraine, and we broadcasting when Sergey, like shortly, very shortly, it's history of Sergey. Sergey previously citizens of Crimea, and when Crimea was annexed by Mr. Putin, and leader of Russia, and he moved to Poland, and that time when Sergey lived in Crimea, we use TV station, Ukrainian TV station for broadcasting our dialogues, and we have this experience. And thank you for idea to spreading our dialogue. And I think that we work for people and we try to be useful for everybody. And I think that to be here in this room, 10 of us, we can create addition values to our world, I think. And Irena, what thoughts from you? What thoughts you are leaving this room?
Sorry, say that again. Sorry.
And I asked Irena. I said that together we can create additional value to our world.
Of course. Yeah, that's good. Good. Thank you. Yeah, so again, anyone who wishes to send a podcast to me, will have a listen to it. I mean, you can do it in Ukrainian. I won't understand anyway. But if someone comes around and shoots me, then I know what you said.
Thank you. And certainly we can use translator if you need, and we can invite the professional translator, and we can use this also opportunity to talk more widely about different topics.
Well, listen, I've said enough. I've advertised my radio station. Sorry about that, people. Sorry, Deborah. I see you're looking at me there. But I've advertised. I've done my bit. I've done my PR bit. So carry on. Thank you.
And yeah, I understand that the person who love hobby, it's very, very lovely when person love hobby and love your deal and passion, and we support this type of people, Ron.
Oh well, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Because we are passion people also. Irena.
Yes. I think it is really great idea, and I hope that it will come true. And about this dialogue, I'm really happy that all we have such possibility to communicate, to see and hear new people from different countries, to hear what they think, and take something new and useful for ourselves. So thank you, everyone.
Great, Irena. And Gershon, is it possible to hear you? Gershon?
Yes. Hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Because you are leaving.
I think it has been a very, very good discussion, and as a young leader, growing leader, I've grabbed some things on what's leadership and management and what I should not do. Thank you.
Thank you, Gershon, very much, and see you next week. And Sergey, what is your thoughts? Sergey, say something.
We have next meeting on 5 minutes.
You can use Russian, and Irena will translate.
Can I comment on your knowledge of English? I notice everyone here has quite a good knowledge of English.
Thank you. And Sergey, say something, and Irena translate you. Okay. And okay, guys, see you next week. And I will send an announcement to you. And thank you for today's conversation. It was really nice, deep, and it was really interesting to talk about leadership and management through the leaders, and who are going to be leaders of countries, in different countries, and US and Ukraine and UK and Scotland and Poland also. And it's very good to understand differences between management and leadership through the perspective of country development and development of the self also. And thank you very much, and see you next week. Bye.
Fun talking.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye for now. Yeah. Bye.
Bye. See you.
Yeah.